So I'm gonna do a little video here. So if you're wondering where I am, I'm at university, and they've got a broadcast room, so I'm using that to record. So this is going to be a little bit of a preview into a few different sporting events, because there's a lot on this weekend in terms of motorsport. So we'll start off. I'm just going to have a look at this motorsport diary because there's all sorts of events on. There's IndyCar, there's NASCAR, there's MotoGP. I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to just check what is happening. Okay, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. Right, so the Autosport calendar has upcoming events. So let's have a little look. So this weekend, we have got, as I said, NASCAR, MotoGP, and IndyCar on the 1st of March 2026. We are going to be into March next week. That is crazy. We are already 3 months in almost into 2026. We're almost in the third month of 2026, which is crazy. So let's begin with NASCAR. And I wanted to talk about this because I watched the race the weekend at Atlanta, and it was a brilliant race. The ending was, I suppose some people would say it was a bit underwhelming, but it was still a fantastic race, and there was some brilliant drives in there, especially from Chase Briscoe and Carson Hocevar. Now, I'm going to preface by saying I am a bit of a Hocevar fan, but I will try and put my liking of him aside because I'm a journalist at the end of the day. And I also like Conor Zilic as well because Zilic is just a really talented driver. So I'm getting on that bandwagon before other people are. So let's begin with how Atlanta actually was. So the race was a very interesting one because, when you look at the stats, Kyle Larson led the most laps, and yet his day was ended after he failed to spot Shane van Gisbergen, who had a brilliant race, by the way, and I want to talk about that. SVG was on fire at Atlanta, and I genuinely think he might be a contender for top 16, which is crazy to say, because I was thinking, I actually made a list of like the 16 drivers I thought were going to be in the chase. I'll actually get it up for you guys right now. So the 16 I said were Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Joey Logano, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, and Alex Bowman, right? And I think that there's a chance that at least 10 of them are definitely going to make it, right? The ones that I'm questioning are Busch, Keselowski, Bowman. Those are the main three that I'm questioning right now. The rest of them I think are definitely going to get in. But anyway, to Atlanta. So the results look like this. It was a second win in a row for Tyler Reddick, and that is the first time that somebody has won the first two races of a NASCAR season since Matt Kenseth did it in 2009, which shows how, and it's only happened I think 6 times in the history of NASCAR, which shows how rare an eventuality that actually is. However, there's still a long way to go, and I'm not going to make any title predictions. However, one thing I can definitely say is Spire and 2311 have started the season brilliantly, especially Spire, because the expectations for Spire were a little bit higher after how decent last year was for Hocevar at times, but they've certainly delivered so far this season, with top 10s for both Daniel Suarez and for Carson Hocevar this season. And of course some really good stage points for Hocevar as well. So let's get into it. Tyler Reddick performed absolutely brilliantly once again, and he was there when he needed to be to get a hold of the race win. It looked for a while as if it was going to be one of Bubba Wallace or Christopher Bell. They were both driving brilliantly for 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing. However, Carson Hocevar was there, and he made his way through the field. And I'm going to talk about that right now because Hocevar was just electric. He started in the mid-pack, and he actually got a really good start. He was up into the top 10. I think he was 7th at one point. but then he had a problem with his window, so they had to go and fix that, and he went 2 laps down. However, thankfully for him, nobody got lapped in the first stage, and then when the first non-stage caution came out, he was there to be on the lead lap, because how it works in NASCAR is basically, if you are a lap down or 2 laps down, you get the wave around. If you are the first one that is a lap down, and because he was the only one, he got the wave around twice on those occasions, and he was able to benefit from that. But there was the first non-stage caution came out at a roundabout lap. If I had to guess, it was probably about, was it 100 or 70 or something like that? I'll have a little look. Here we go. So let's have a look. Results. There we go. Timeline. Here we go. So it was lap 82. That was it. So on lap 82, Ty Gibbs got turned over, bounced off Christopher Bell, and hit the wall. Josh Berry was also involved with Denny Hamlin, Riley Herbst, Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, and BJ McLeod. And that gave Hocevar the free pass, which meant he was at the back. Now, for a while, it looked as though he wasn't going to make any progress because he was lingering at the back. He wasn't making the ground that he probably should have been. I was keeping an eye on it because, as I said, I am a bit of a Hocevar fan because I really rate him as a driver. But it took a few different cautions to actually go and help him out. And the main caution that helped him out was the one on lap 126. Reddick was leading, and it was when Larson, I think it was, hit the I think it was when Larson had the collision, or was it at the end of stage 2? Well, it was at the end of stage 2, and then he restarted, and it took him a while to get back up to speed, but he did. I'm trying to figure out, when was it that yeah, so Hocevar, I remember now. So what happened was at the end of stage 2, Hocevar had gotten himself up into a really good position. He was in the top 10, but then he had damage at the end of the stage. So he pitted and ended up right at the back, and he remained at the back for quite a long time until the caution came out on lap 200. That's right. It was 200. That was when Hocevar really came into it, because he slowly worked his way up the field. That in lap 227 really gave him momentum. It was 227 actually. That was the caution that really gave him momentum, because he managed to get up to speed. He was with the pack, and he made his way up the field from dead last pretty much, apart from J.J. Yaley, who was a few laps down. And he worked his way up, and he drove absolutely brilliantly, made some brilliant moves. And the thing is, right, people will say that he is very divisive in terms of how he drives. But some people, and I'm not saying I'm comparing him to this guy, including the son of this guy, we're comparing him to Dale Sr. And I'm thinking, that's a little bit too far. It's a little bit too far at the moment, anyway, because Carson's a great driver. I really rate him. I think he is going to be a champion in NASCAR one day. But I just think right now, no, don't compare anybody. You do not compare anybody to the Dale. If you know NASCAR, you know nobody is comparable to the Dale. The Dale is like he is literally like a godly figure to many people in NASCAR. Like, he was incredible. He was the greatest driver to have ever raced in NASCAR. And I don't think there's much debate about that. He is better than Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, Johnson. Dude was incredible. And I don't think his death actually really had that much of an impact on how good he was, really. Because you look at the stats, you look at how good he was at driving, there's not really much debate there. Hocevar is a good driver, but he's never going to be on that level. I'm just going to say that right now. But Carson is an entertaining driver to watch, and that is what's so good about him. And that leads me into the overtime incident. So what happens is, basically, on lap 250. Lap 261. Hocevar, is it 261 or is it 266? Sorry, lap 266. Hocevar goes for a move into turn 1. Basically, he's behind the two Toyotas of Wallace and Bell, and he has got, I'll move it down a little bit if I can. There we go. And he has got basically no chance. He is blocked, but then a little gap opens up. And like that one quote from Cars 3, sneak through the window, he did that. But unfortunately, it didn't pay off for him, and he ended up clattering into Bell, who brought out the caution. Hocevar was still second, though, and he was not out of it. The restart was a chaotic one, and Carson led at one point, but it was really, really good driving from Tyler Reddick. Bubba Wallace completely bottled it. He went too high on the racetrack, lost his momentum, and finished down in 8th in the end, while Hocevar didn't get any push from anybody behind, because driving like that, it does not make you very many friends. Chastain didn't help him out. And so he basically had to get himself to the line. Daniel Suarez did give him a bit of a hand at points, but in the end he finished behind Chase Briscoe and Chastain, who managed to get ahead of him just before the end. But Reddick held on to take his second win in a row, and he is a title contender. He didn't win at all last year, which was a surprise to many because of how impressive he was in 2024, but Reddick is back. He is back and he's ready to go, and he is ready to take on anybody who takes a shot at him. But one driver I really want to praise is Bubba Wallace, because whilst he did bottle it on the last lap, his consistency this season has been fantastic. He's top 10 in both races, got lots and lots of stage points. He's been bringing it home, which is something that a lot of other drivers have not been able to do. Kyle Larson hasn't been able to do that. Kyle Busch's not been able to do that. Austin Cindric's not been able to do that. Christopher Bell's not been able to do that, although sometimes it's not really been his fault. Alex Bowman, Connor Zilic, Austin Dillon. These guys have not been able to bring it home at times. Even William Byron. Byron's not at a top 10 this season, but he's 13th in the standings. You cannot count out drivers who can just get it to the flag. Drivers who can avoid wrecks like that are ones who often end up in good positions in the standings because they avoid the chaos, they get the points, and especially now with the format being changed back to the chase, that is going to count even more because now it's all about consistency over the course of the first, 25 races, is it? 22 races. There you go. It's 25. It's 26 races, I should say. Over the first 26 races. And that can, a driver can not be the quickest, but if they're consistent, they can get themselves in there. And that is all that matters in the end. Shout out to Zane Smith as well. Zane Smith and Tyler Reddick are the only drivers this season to have scored top 10s in both races this season, apart from Bubba Wallace. Those three are the only guys. I'll do that bit again. Actually, no, I probably won't. This is probably just going to end up being a podcast, so pardon me. Those guys are the only ones to finish in the top 10 in every race this season. Elliott's had a good start to the season as well, 4th and 11th. But one thing to watch out for is definitely how Spire and 2311 perform, because they're performing really well at the moment. They are first and second. That's 2 out of the 3 entries for 2311, and Spire are in 2 of their 3 entries, 4th and 7th. So keep an eye out on them. But now I want to talk about Shane van Gisbergen, because that man was very impressive. I was very impressed. I just realized it's a bit like skew with. There we go. I was very impressed by Shane van Gisbergen's performance, not only at Atlanta, but at Daytona as well. He was really quick at Daytona, and he clearly has, very much improved on his oval speed this season already. He was running very high at Daytona at times, running in the top 10 for quite a lot of the race. And then, of course, he gets involved in some incidents, which aren't his fault. And even today, he was caught up in 2 different incidents, and he still managed to finish in 6th. And I'm very impressed by him. He's been fantastic this season. It's only been 2 races, so you've not got a massive sample size, but to perform that well at 2 ovals, coming into Kota, which is the type of race you would expect Van Gisbergen to win. And when I mean the type of race, I mean this man literally sweeped all of the road and street courses last season, apart from Kota, because Bell won there last season. You know, you're going to expect him to win. Simple as that, really. I mean, if he doesn't finish in the top 5, that's a failure for him, you know? I mean, I'll show you right now I'll get his results up right now. In NASCAR in the Cup Series last season. He finished 6th at Kota. He won in Mexico. He won the Chicago Street Race. He won Sonoma. He won Watkins Glen. Like, he won the Roval. He is unstoppable on road courses. And his form is very much picked up on the ovals in recent times as well. He's getting much better at them. I mean, last season, he finished 10th at Kansas. He finished 11th in Talladega, 14th in Martinsville. You know, runs like that are important more now because of the change in format. Thankfully, NASCAR realized that they were being stupid with the format, and they brought it back to what it should be, which is the chase. I mean, personally, I would prefer having a 36 race season, where it's just down to that. But NASCAR don't want it to be like that, and I kind of understand why. Sometimes there can be just seasons like Jeff Gordon had that one year in the 90s where he wins most of the races, and it's just dominance. But it's still really good to welcome this back. One thing I would also like to... I'm going to make some predictions now for Kota. So I think the pole sitter for me for Kota... It's going to be... I'm basically just going to predict a Shane Van Gisbergen sweep. I think he's going to sweep it. He'll get the pole. He'll get the win. He'll probably get the fastest lap. I think the surprise of the race is probably going to be Allmend. Well, I say surprise. Allmendinger is a very, very good driver on the road courses, so I think he's going to do a good job. I think he's going to be in the top 10, and I think that might help him move up into the top 16. I did consider him for the top 16. Because he is a good driver. I do rate AJ Allmendinger very highly. He is a really, really quick guy on his day, especially on the road courses. So he's been very good. So I think he's going to be inside the top 10. And I think Hocevar is going to be up there. He said in the post-race interview that, we're not going to be anywhere in Kota. But he has done very well at road courses over the years. He's done better at road courses over the years than people remember. He did really, really well at the Glen in his debut season. He finished in, I think it was 6th in his debut season at the Glen. No, he finished 3rd at the Glen in his debut season. He finished 12th at the Roval. He had some good results at Kota, I'm pretty sure. Where did he finish in Kota? He finished 13th at Kota last year. You know, he's better than he thinks on road courses. Sonoma, he finished 17th in. You know, as I said, he has had some good runs. Chicago Street Race we can forget about. That wasn't a good run from him. But I think he's going to be running quite quick. And Zilich is going to be another one to watch out for on the road courses as well, because you got to remember his background in European racing and racing in Europe for a while is definitely going to help him out with that. I mean, if you look at his time in the O'Reilly series, he won at Kota. He finished first at Sonoma. He won in the Glen. He won the Roval. He basically won every road course race except for the Chicago Street Race. And the reason why he didn't win the Chicago Street Race was because Shane Van Gisbergen won it. So if you discount Van Gisbergen's win, he basically did win every single road and street race last season in the O'Reilly series. So I think he's going to be up there as well. He was running very well at times. Yesterday he was having a very good run, but he got caught up in incidents, which was a shame for him. Where did he finish in Mexico City, actually? That's a good point. Where did he finish in Mexico? He finished in 5th in Mexico. So he won all but Mexico last season, basically, which shows how quick he was. Although, I'll have a look and see who was above him in the order, and he finished 4th because Daniel Suarez won the race, and he's obviously a NASCAR Cup Series driver, so his result didn't really count, so he basically finished in 4th, did Connor. So I'm expecting him to run very well as well. He's had a very mixed start to NASCAR life, because at times he's had a very good bit of running, especially yesterday. He was really quick at times. He was inside the top 10, But of course, he got very unlucky with cautions, got caught up in incidents which weren't really his fault, and so his chances sort of went and they diminished. So those are I think the main three to watch out for are going to be Allmendinger, Van Gisbergen, and Zilich, because those three are very impressive on road courses, especially Van Gisbergen and Zilich. Zilich is definitely one to watch out for. And don't count out Bell. You know, he won the race last year. He's a very quick guy. I think he's going to be on form as well. So that's a little bit of a preview into NASCAR and Dakota. So now we're going to get into IndyCar, and I cannot wait for the IndyCar season to start because, as you guys know, I'm a massive IndyCar fan. I absolutely love it. I've been in IndyCar press conferences. I've had the chance to meet some incredible people who have been involved in IndyCar over the years, and I'm very much looking forward to this season. Especially because Romain Grosjean's back on the grid, and I really like Grosjean as a driver. He's very aggressive. By the way, if it does get blurry at times, I do apologise. That's the camera. Yeah, I cannot wait for the start of this season. We've got some new drivers on the grid. We've got some returning drivers. And obviously everything that's happened with Prema has meant that they are no longer on the grid, which is a great shame. Everything's just gone terribly for them, and that is like really, really unfortunate because they looked to be really, really good at times last season, and it's a shame that they are no longer going to be involved, by the look of things anyway, in IndyCar, because everything's just going wrong for them at the moment. And I might make a different video on that, because that deserves a video in itself for how difficult it's been. So there's positives and negatives, but you do also have some debut drivers. We've got 3 rookies on the grid this season. We have got 2 former F1 Feeder Series drivers in Kyle Collette and Dennis Hauger. Dennis Hauger is a name that many will recognise from his Formula 2 days. He was in Formula 2 up until last year when he moved to Indy next, and he absolutely dominated the field. He was incredible. Now he's going to be racing in IndyCar for Dale Coyne, and his teammate is going to be Romain Grosjean, who is back on the grid for the first time in about a year and a half, I think. Of course, Grosjean drove for Dale Coyne in his first season, and he had some great results with them in this first season. In fact, if you actually look at his average points per race that season, he actually won Rookie of the Year, and he was actually more impressive than Scott McLaughlin, because he only drove on the road courses in his rookie season. He up until the final couple of rounds, but he had a really good rookie season. He scored 3 podiums in his debut season in IndyCar. He got pole at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so he had a very good run of form in his debut season. And then he went to Andretti, and it didn't work out there, but he did have some great races for them as well. And, of course, he missed last year. He wasn't on the grid. He had a decent campaign with Young Costs. Considering their budget, he had some good results. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he does back at Dale Coyne, although he's going to be driving the 18 car, because the 51 car, simply the number doesn't actually exist anymore, which is a shame. Because we're so used to having Dale Coyne with that. And the thing is though, he technically hasn't actually left Andretti, because he's in, that's who Andretti have a technical alliance with. They have an alliance with Dale Coyne, which means that they share data and things like that. So that's Grosjean and Hauger at Dale Coyne. That is one of quite a few actually teams that have had massive lineup changes. AJ Foyt are another one, because Kyle Collette is going to be racing alongside Santino Ferrucci. And that has come because of Colton Herta. Colton Herta leaving IndyCar for Formula 1 has had a massive domino effect, because Will Power, after, I think, 15 years at least at Penske, maybe even 20, he raced at Penske for, a long time. Yeah, 16 years he spent at Penske, and he has left them now, and he's gone to Andretti, one of their bitter rivals over the years, one of their greatest rivals over the years in terms of recent history, along with Ganassi, and he's going to be partnering Kyle Kirkwood and Marcus Ericsson. So you've got 2 Indy 500 winners in that team, and 2 really good road course drivers in Kirkwood and Ericsson, and an oval expert in Power. So you've got a great lineup. with those three in the Andretti seat. So McLaren hasn't changed. Hunter Ray is going to be doing the Indy 500 for them, which is a bit different because he was doing it for Dreyer and Reinbold last season. Now they're going to be just doing it for Hollywood Harvey. Does that actually come up on his Wikipedia these days where it says his nickname is Hollywood Harvey? I want to actually have a look at that. Damn, he isn't. Damn, it doesn't come up saying Hollywood Harvey. That is his nickname these days, which is really cool. I actually was watching the broadcast when they said, Hollywood Harvey for the first time. But anyway, that's a brag. Chip Ganassi hasn't changed this season. Ed Carpenter hasn't either, and that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on because both Alexander Rossi and Christian Rasmussen had some great races last season. Rasmussen's such an entertaining driver to watch, man. He is like so ragged, and it's so fun. Again, Meyer Shank hasn't changed, but then we've got Ray Hall and Penske. So Ray Hall have gotten rid of Devlin DeFrancesco, and they're going to be having a legendary name on the grid because Mick Schumacher is going to be driving an IndyCar this season, doing every single race. All the rookies are doing every single race. Schumacher, though, is coming straight from Europe. So this is going to be one heck of a learning step for him. He has got a long bit of learning to do. Some people are setting him up for failure already, which I just don't agree with. Although driving for Ray Hall has been a bit of a death sentence recently because their run of form has been on the streets, and road courses, sometimes brilliant, especially IMS. I don't know what they do at the Indianapolis road course that makes them so quick, but they are always quick there. And then when it comes to the Indy 500, they're struggling to qualify. That's how bad they've been at times on the ovals. But hopefully he can sort of use his experience in single-seater racing. Of course, he was in Formula 1 for a couple of years in the early 2020s. I'm loving how I'm saying that as if it was a previous decade. It's this decade. To experience. Then we have Penske, and finally, my boy David Malukas is going to be in a consistently competitive car. Now, I am a Malukas fan. I really rate him as a driver. He is such an entertaining guy, and he's a phenomenal driver. He got robbed of the McLaren seat because he got injured, and then they just wanted some money, so they replaced him with Nolan Siegel after a few interim periods of Callum Ilott and Theo Pourchaire, or as Townsend Bell famously called them, Teddy Pork Chops. That was honestly, some of the nicknames that the IndyCar guys have are just wild. It's mental. And also Tim Cindric's back as Scott McLaughlin's strategist, despite the fact that he was sacked from the team or left the team after the whole cheating controversy last year at the Indy 500. So my predictions. So the first round of the season, as it has been for quite a while now, is going to be in St. Petersburg. And I'm going to be honest, I like Rogro's chances, man. Rogro has always ran well. Roman Grosjean has always ran well at St. Petersburg. Alex Palou is obviously going to be the favourite because the guy is a magnet to winning on road courses. And he's had a great record of getting results there. He has, had some great results. He won last year there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won it again. But I mean, we've got a massive different list of winners. I mean, we've had 6 different winners in the last 6 years. Joseph Newgarden won it in 2020. Then Herta won it in 2021. Obviously, he's not going to race in IndyCar this season unless he does the 500, which there are some rumors suggesting, but I don't think it's going to happen. McLaughlin won it in 2022. Was that after he punted Grosjean into the wall? I think it might have been. 2023, Ericsson won it. 2024, it was Pato O'Ward, and then last year, Alex Palou won it. So there's a lot of history at this track, and honestly, I am saying, Palou is 100% the favourite. I mean, he is the reigning champion for a reason. He is one of the greatest IndyCar drivers of all time, probably the greatest road course driver to have ever driven an IndyCar. And that is my honest opinion. You can say that I'm deluded and say, there might be this driver, but I genuinely think that he is, without a doubt, one of the best, if not the best, of all time when it comes to road courses. And he's learning ovals now. I mean, he won the 500 last year, and I think Sorry. And I think a lot of IndyCar fans were really annoyed that he'd won it because it was like, damn it, he's finally won in the ovals. Now he's going to win every single race next season. hopefully that's not going to happen, and hopefully we get a title fight of some sorts, whether that be with Malukas or McLaughlin, or whether that be with Dixon or Power or Kirkwood or O'Ward or even Lundgaard. Like, there's got to be something. Lundgaard's the one to look out for as well. But my prediction, I'm going to say Polo's going to win it. I don't think he's going to get pole, though. I'm going to say Lundgaard gets pole for it. And then we have MotoGP. So MotoGP is starting in Thailand this weekend. Very early start. And there's not really been very many rider changes on the grid. Of course, there have been confirmations and rumours for next year, but there hasn't been many changes for this year, only 2, and that is that Toprak Razgatlioglu, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of his name, is going to be riding for Yamaha the Pramac team alongside Jack Miller, replacing Miguel Oliveira. And as one Portuguese-speaking rider comes out, one Portuguese rider comes in, because Diego Moreira is going to be riding for Castrol LCR Honda next year, replacing some Kiat Chandra, who really did not have a good rookie campaign at all. He was very poor. So apart from that, there's not really very many changes. I mean, in terms of if you want to look at the different bikes they're going to be riding, because there are satellite bikes and there are factory bikes. Satellite bikes are older bikes that are used by private teams. And then satellite bikes, factory bikes are the current model, often used by the factory teams and some satellite teams. So we'll begin with the Aprilia, and them in Trackhouse, who are of course also in NASCAR, are going to be using the new Aprilia RS GP26, which looks very quick at the hands of Marco Bezzecchi and Ayogura in testing, and I think Bezzecchi is definitely going to be up there for race wins this season, if not, dare I say it, a championship contender. But then you have the Ducatis on the Desmosedici, I always forget how you pronounce this, GP26. There is 4 riders that are on that, and that is Fabio Di Gianantonio, who's going to be riding that for the R46. However, his teammate Frankie Morbidelli is going to be riding the 25, as is Fermin Aldeguer, who had a very good rookie season in MotoGP. And then you've got the 3 main men, Bagnaia and the 2 Marquez brothers, Pecco Bagnaia and Marc and Alex Marquez, who are going to be riding the GP26. Now, Bagnaia and Marc Marquez are in the factory team, are in Ducati's factory team, while Alex Marquez is Fermin Aldeguer's teammate at Gresini. Then we've got Honda, and all of them are using the same bike, the RC213V. That's the LCR team and the factory team, who have got a very good list of riders. I mean, they've got 2 Grand Prix winners, 1 world champion. They've got podium finisher, and they've got a very, very highly regarded rookie, who I'm pretty sure he won the championship last year, didn't he? Yes, he did. He won the Moto2 championship last year. So he's very highly rated, Diogo Moreira. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. They were just inside the top 10 testing, so they're probably not going to be fighting with Aprilia and Yamaha. But they're probably, not Yamaha, Aprilia and Ducati. The reason why I had Yamaha in my head is because I was going to say Yamaha have been dismal in testing, despite their new YZR-M1. Just checking if there's anything important on my phone. There isn't, so there we go. And then you've got the RC16 for KTM. So last season in Thailand, the winner was, of course, as per usual, Marc Marquez. Marquez has won here 3 times, more than any other rider. All the other riders have won it only once. And he's going to be the favourite again. And I don't think there's going to be much stopping him, to be honest. And I hate to say that, but it's true. I think he is going to be on top form. I think the only rider who can stop him is either himself or by crashing, or of course Marco Bezzecchi. I don't think Pecco's going to be up there. I think Alex Marquez might be, but I just think he is going to be really quick, and it's going to be very tricky to stop him. The only way you're going to stop him is either if you manage to outpace him by some divine miracle, or he crashes. Then we have Moto2. I think it's probably going to be Rueda or Colin Vire or Aegis or Guevara or Holgado or Manu Gonzalez. I would probably pick, or Piqueras as well, actually. There's some really good riders in Moto2 next season. if I had to pick one, would probably say Gonzalez. He probably should have a MotoGP seat, but he doesn't. And then when it comes to Moto3, in terms of who I would pick for race winning coming up, I would probably say Valentin Peroni or Alvaro Carpet or David Munoz. Munoz is a great rider, very exciting to watch. I would probably say that him, Carpe, Peroni, and Quiles are the favourites to win this weekend. Almansa's had some decent pace at times. Casey O'Gorman's a very exciting rookie for Ireland. And anybody who calls him British, I will give you a good old smack. I am joking, by the way. I do not want to end up in a lawsuit. But he is Irish. He may have a very English accent, but he is Irish. He was born and raised in Ireland. So also Joe Kelso as well. Joe Kelso is an interesting one to keep an eye on. Same with Adrian Fernandez. So there's some good riders. And I think that if I had to pick one, though, I would probably say David Munoz. I'm going to say him because either he's going to crash or he's going to win. I mean, last year, Vereda won it. The 2 years before that, David Alonso won it. Oh, yeah, Alonso's one to watch out for in Moto2 as well. You know, there's some really good riders in MotoGP. I love how I spent like 20 minutes talking about NASCAR and about like 10 talking about the other two. But the thing is there's more to talk about with NASCAR because they've already had races this season. In terms of Formula 1, testing is now finished, and I've given my thoughts on that in another video. I don't know if that's going to come out in the near future. But when it comes to this, I have to say I really like talking about other motorsports, and we're going to try and do it a bit more often this year, although I always say that and I never end up doing it in the end, so don't expect anything of me because I am very poor with that. Formula 1 isn't back until the week after. I'm just having a little look at the Autosport calendar in March, and there's quite a lot on the weekend of 7th and 8th. We've got V8 Supercars, you've got Formula 1, NASCAR, and IndyCar all on that weekend. So there's a lot coming up, and thank you all very much for watching this, and I will see you all in the next video whenever that may be. I've finally managed to figure out how to get the equipment working in this room, although I have had to use my microphone from home because the microphone here doesn't work. So yeah, thank you all very much for watching this video, and I will see you all whenever the next video might be. Yeah, bye guys.